Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? You know how Sigma is trending online?
Yeah, it's everywhere these days.
Well, get this. Today's deep dive takes us from that slang all the way back to 1913, to the founding of Delta Sigma Theta.
Wow, 1913, that's going way back.
It is. We're talking one of the most influential African-American organizations out there. We'll be using their Wikipedia page, and a surprisingly relevant WikiHow article.
Oh, what's the article called?
What does Sigma mean on TikTok?
Huh, that is surprising. I'm curious to see how this all connects.
Me too. It's fascinating how Sigma has evolved, and when you look at Delta Sigma Theta's history, you start to see some interesting links. They were trailblazers right from the get-go.
Okay, so break it down for me. Why did those 22 women at Howard University form their own sorority? What was the story there?
Well, there was already a black sorority on campus, Alpha Cop Alpha.
Right.
But these 22 women, they had a different vision.
I see.
They wanted to reshape things, change the sorority's direction, symbols, even its name. So they took this bold step and formed Delta Sigma Theta.
Wow, just went for it. That's a powerful statement. And they didn't just stop at forming a group, right? Weren't they involved in the women's suffrage movement, too?
Exactly. Week later, they're marching in the 1913 Women's Suffrage Parade. Talk about taking action.
That's incredible. It really shows how committed they were to social justice from day one. And I think it's important to remember they even faced racism within the march itself, something that's often overlooked. But they were determined to have their voices heard no matter what.
It's amazing. They could have easily just focused inward, just on sisterhood. But they were driven to make a real impact on the world around them.
And that drive, it led to them creating their five-point thrust in 1956. It's still central to their mission today.
The five-point thrust, what's that all about?
Think of it like a five-pronged approach to community upliftment.
Okay. Interesting.
Educational development, economic development, physical and mental health, political awareness and involvement, and finally, international awareness and involvement.
Wow, that covers a lot of ground. And it's all still so relevant today. What I'm really curious about is how those points actually came to life. What kind of specific programs did they create?
Oh, there are so many examples. One that stands out is the National Library Project. Back in the mid-20th century, many rural black communities in the South had limited access to books.
Makes sense.
So Delta Sigma Theta stepped in. They brought literature and established libraries where they were desperately needed.
It's not just about giving people books, though. Right. It's about empowering, though, with knowledge and opportunity. It makes you wonder how many lives were touched by that access.
Absolutely. Then there's Delta Towers. It was the first retirement center founded by any Black Greek organization in the U.S.
Wow. They were really ahead of their time. That's huge. It speaks volumes about their vision. And they didn't stop there, right? I read that they've also done some international work.
Oh, definitely. They partnered with Habitat for Humanity to build houses both in the U.S. and in Ghana, proving their dedication to international outreach. You can see how those 5 points of the thrust are woven into everything they do.
Okay, so now let's bring it back to that word Sigma. That's been trending. Honestly, I'm still a little fuzzy on what it actually means.
You and just about everyone else. According to that WikiHow article, it's become slang for someone who's cool, successful, but who does things their own way. They're rebellious, independent, but also popular. Originally, it specifically referred to Sigma male.
So basically the cool kid who doesn't need to follow the crowd. To be cool, I get the appeal. But how does this tie back to Delta Sigma Theta?
Well, think about it. They broke away from the existing sorority to forge their own path, tackled social issues head-on, defying expectations and making their own rules for success. Didn't wait for permission or approval, they just acted.
I see what you mean. There's a connection to that Sigma spirit of independence and taking charge.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting when you consider Sigma male itself has some controversial roots. It's linked to a writer named wotj, whose views are often described as far-right and have sparked a lot of debate.
So even something as simple as a slang term can carry baggage we might not realize.
That's right, and it highlights how language constantly evolves. Now, Sigma exists in this online space, where it can be both serious and ironic.
It's wild how, even with all this stuff around the word Sigma, Delta Sigma Theta has just kept thriving. It makes you wonder how they've managed to, navigate all that and stay focused on their mission.
Well, one thing is they haven't let internet trends define them. Their commitment to service and sisterhood has stayed strong. Their membership numbers, they really speak for themselves.
How many members are we talking?
Over 350,000 worldwide.
Wow, seriously.
It's the largest African-American women's organization globally.
That's incredible. And remember that visual we were talking about earlier, their centennial celebration at the Rose Parade.
Oh yeah, in 2013.
Yeah, Talk about a powerful statement about their legacy and how long they've been around.
Absolutely. I mean, they've broken so many barriers and really paved the way for a ton of women. But let's be real, no organization is perfect. And Delta Sigma Theta has had, its share of challenges over the years.
Right. Even with all the good they do, they've had some issues along the way.
Exactly. There have been some instances of embezzlement and hazing within the organization.
Really?
Yeah. And those are serious issues that can't be ignored.
Have they done anything to try and address those issues?
Yes, definitely. They've implemented stricter policies and increased accountability measures,
That makes sense.
which is super important for any organization, especially one with such a high profile as Delta Sigma Theta. It's all about holding themselves to the same standards they advocate for in society.
Right, right. And then there was that whole reality TV show controversy a while back. I remember that.
You mean sorority sisters?
Yeah, that's it. I remember that caused a lot of debate. What was that all about again?
So the show followed the lives of several sorority members, including some from Delta Sigma Theta, and it just sparked this huge backlash.
Why was that?
Some members felt it perpetuated these negative stereotypes about black women in Greek life,
That makes sense.
while others saw it as an opportunity to show their experiences. It was complicated, with a lot of different opinions.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So what did Delta Sigma Theta end up doing?
They ended up expelling the members who were on the show.
Wow.
It really showed how seriously they took their image and that they didn't support the show's portrayal of sorority life.
So even as they've achieved all these incredible things and made this real lasting impact, they've also had to deal with some, rough patches.
Yeah, that's the reality for any organization with a long history. There are going to be great moments and then setbacks. But it's all about how you respond to those challenges. And Delta Sigma Theta has shown again and again that they're willing to learn, grow, and adapt, which is remarkable.
It's amazing to think about everything Delta Sigma Theta has done, from those 22 women at Howard to this global organization with hundreds of thousands of members. Really shows the power of vision and dedication and sisterhood.
Yeah. And what's really impressive to me is they've stayed relevant and impactful for over a century. They've adapted to a changing world, but stayed true to those core values of service and scholarship and social action.
Yeah, those values are more important now than ever before, right? With all the stuff going on in the world.
Absolutely. Think about all the issues we're facing as a society. Social justice, economic disparities, the environment. Organizations like Delta Sigma Theta are really in a unique position to lead the charge and create positive change. They have the experience, the network, and the passion to really make a difference.
And they've proven they're not afraid to deal with difficult issues, right? Whether it's advocating for voting rights or supporting education or promoting health and wellness, they're out there on the front lines working to make things better.
It's inspiring to see. It's a great example of what's possible when people work together and have that shared purpose and commitment to action. Makes you wonder what the future holds for them and what new challenges they'll take on.
It really does. It's like their story is a reminder that even when things are tough, we can make a difference, a positive impact.
Delta Sigma Theta has been proving people wrong and fighting for change for over a century. I think their journey teaches us something important. Even when things are difficult, we can commit to making a difference in our own communities and beyond. What can you do, even something small, to make a change for the better?
That's a really good question for all of us. Thanks for joining us today for this deep dive into the world of Delta Sigma Theta. Their story is about resilience, impact, and a real dedication to making the world a better place.
We hope you'll learn more about the work they do and maybe even find ways to support their mission.
It's been great learning about their history and what they're all about. As we all move forward, let's remember their example and try to live by those values of service and social action. Thanks for listening. PAM.